Good evening, everyone. Tuesday, the 14th of March. First, an apology, my ring light has packed up, so it's darker than usual. So hopefully you'll be able to see me as well as hear me. Just say a huge thank you for those who are joining at this time. Really thank you for that. Hoping that you can hear me well and clear. Also, new folks that are joining, following. Now I'm on YouTube. So thank you all very much for taking the time out. I'll be about 25 minutes today looking at social fitness, part 3, but somehow I've got a funny feeling it should be part 4. But anyway, I've written part 3, so let's go with that and let's see how things go for this evening. So I'd like to welcome you all this evening, if you're local and far. Also, just to say a welcome to you if you're watching the catch up or the replay, and if you're watching the replay weeks or months to come, to say thank you very much indeed. Good evening, Sonia. And also for those who watch each week and don't comment, and it's fine. I was absolutely shocked on Saturday. An individual, I normally shake his hand when I turn up for chaplaincy, and he said to me, he says, I watch your shows, you know. I was absolutely bowled over. It really made my day. And we got into a bit of a conversation. So listen, if you're getting something from it, if you're watching it and you put it into practice, that's the key. Putting things into practice, absolutely important. And I can say 3 things about putting things into practice. Number 1, be very clear where you want to go. Number 2, create a plan. Number 3, execute. Obviously, it's perhaps a bit more complicated than that, but they're the kind of 3 steps. So good evening, Jeff, and everyone else who's watching. So social fitness, we're going to look at a couple of definitions just to recap. Good evening, Norma. Really good to see you this evening. See you metaphorically speaking, of course. I can't see anybody, but yeah, thank you very much for being here this evening. So social fitness is the ability to engage in productive and professional relationships, positively interact with unit and command networks, and use resources that promote overall well-being. Part of an over 80-year study at Harvard, started in 1939. They looked at what is the number 1 thing that contributes to good health and longevity. It wasn't material goods, it was actually social, it was connection. And today I was looking at some stuff around burnout. And sometimes we think that burnout is just about having rest and self-care, but there is new research coming out that what's really important to help people recover from burnout, apart from the self-care, is social connection, relationship. Also, if people are working, is the work environment nurturing? Do you have support at work with relationships? And certainly if you have burnout and there's no support in your workplace, you've only one decision to make. So the whole thing about relationship is really important. Another definition of social fitness is, social fitness is defined as the combined resources a person gets from his or her social world, and it encompasses the availability and maintenance of social relationships. And what happens with these social relationships, it helps people to navigate stressors. So that's the thing about social fitness. It's not so much about willpower, because willpower, you can exhaust willpower, but it's about the social relationships that we have. So tonight I'm going to be looking at developing social fitness, some practical things we can do. And you know what? You can imagine already, it's not rocket science. The whole thing about good relationships, personal, professional, is absolutely important. So developing social fitness, gather friends. Yeah, gather friends and plan a day of fun. One of the things that we used to do years ago is called the safari. Can't remember if it's called the safari dinner or safari lunch. So what you may want to do, you might want to raise some money for charity, for example. So what you might do, you get a load of your friends and you spend a day. So you have the starter at somebody's house, you have the main course at somebody else's house, and then you have the dessert at the third person's house. And what you can do, it's a day of fun, meeting people, connecting, and you're raising money for charity. We did that a few times. Absolutely brilliant. Soup or starter at one house, drive across the city. Now, of course, with petrol costs and all the rest of it, maybe we have to do car sharing, but it's just fun, and it's about connecting with people. Really important. Good evening, Stainton. Really good to see you this evening. I know we've been communicating on Facebook, and thank you at least for kind of commenting. And also, there's somebody on YouTube called No Name. So No Name, if you're watching this evening, listen, just by the mere fact your presence is on, I'm really blessed by it. So yeah, so if it's No Name, if it remains No Name forever, that's fine by me. So gathering with groups of people, team sports is really important in terms of social fitness, and sometimes one of the things that happens in the UK, that's perhaps getting a bit better now, but quite often people from the ethnic minorities, we don't do walking, we don't walk in the countryside, we don't walk national parks. Walking, joining a walking group is really helpful in terms of developing social relationships. Joining a fitness class, that's really important. And get out of town with friends. You know, I travel on the trains a lot on Saturdays when I'm on duty, and I see people, they're either going to a nightclub, they're going out somewhere. Go out with friends. It's really important to connect with people. I think I told you a couple of weeks ago, I went to see some school friends, four school friends. And when I was driving back from Leicester, I thought the car was flying. It just being together with individuals. We were at school together. We all left in 1975. Lots of us have gone through some stuff in our lives, but we didn't sit moaning and complaining, but it was just being with people was really important and helpful for all of us. One of the things that I said to my daughters as they were growing up, I have twins, two things I said to them. If you spoke to my daughters now, they're 27, they're going to be 28 next month. If you said to my daughters now, what did your dad say to you when you were younger? There's two things. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, that's it. You just start it. It's just, you know, don't have to be something great, but just start it. Just absolutely brilliant. Have weekends away together, or sleepovers. You go to a hotel, and I know there's some guys from different parts of the country. They meet up once or twice a year in a hotel in Birmingham, and they just spend time chilling, swimming, using the gym, having food, having fun, just having that time just to relax in the company of people. Really, really important. Two things, if you ask my daughter, what did dad say to you when you were young? Two things I said, and they'll tell you. Dad always said books are precious. And when they were right at the infant school, I said to them, surround yourself with positive people. That's really important. Surround yourself with positive people. You've either got people that give you life or people that drain you, and you don't want to spend too much time with people that drain you, but people that give you life. It's really important. Sonia has just said here, nature's a great healer. It was pointed out to me recently that the second Bible is nature. Nature has so much to give us, so much to share for us, help us in terms of our well-being and so forth. So yeah, nature is a great healer. It really, really is. In fact, it's a proven fact that people with mental illness, depression, schizophrenia, those who had severe mental illness, if they work on the land, they heal really well. Now, they may never fully recover as they were before the breakdown, but nature, interacting with the ground, with the grass, with trees, with plants, really important for their well-being. Right, when we surround ourselves with positive people, they contribute to our well-being. There's something about this mutual respect, mutual nurturing, mutual support, and they contribute. They don't say to you, right, I'm going to contribute to your well-being. No, just by being in good relationship with people, having fun, enjoying each other's company, contributes to your well-being. Really important. Spending time with friends, I said already. Even latest research is, even if you spend time with friends over Team or Zoom, it's better than nothing at all. Remember, three Christmases ago, people were having Christmas dinners over Teams, over Zooms, over Zoom, having a really good time, even though they couldn't be with each other. But at least Zoom was a way of connecting with each other. Really important. Social fitness is not about the hours that we spend with people, but it's the quality of the relationship. It gives you a sense of belonging. I'm going to say a bit more about it in a moment, a sense of purpose, and that people share the same value as you, says Christy Fleetwood Mead. So this whole thing about being with people who you share common values, you have similar outlooks. This is not about yes people or no people. This is about people who you have things in common. There's a sense of belonging, sense of purpose, sense of focus, sense of value. Really important. I'd just like to mention just quickly this whole thing around belonging. It's absolutely important. Some of you know I do some work around EDI, equality, diversity, and inclusion, and I've heard lots of negative stuff about it. People have spoken to me how they don't see it's changing anything. It's rhetoric. I even heard of organizations doing EDI on a 2-hour computer thing. How can you do a 2-hour course online when we've had to work with difference for centuries? It's not taking it seriously. This whole thing about belonging is really important. A guy called John Powell, he's been writing about belonging and othering for over 40 years. He's an African-American involved in civil rights, racism, ethnicity, housing, and poverty. And he says this. I'll just say a little bit about this because I think it's really important. We talk about social fitness, developing relationships, and so forth. Othering, so you either belong or you other people. Othering hurts not only people of color, but whites. Belonging is much more than access. It is about co-creating the thing you are joining rather than having to conform to the rules already set. I'm going to repeat that again. I'm going to say a little bit more. Othering hurts not only people of color, but whites. Belonging is much more than access. It is about co-creating the thing you are joining rather than having to conform to rules already set. One of the things that's happened with lots of people, they've been co-opted onto committees, co-opted onto the groups, and then when they're there, it's as though they're not there. They're there, so in a sense, I guess an organization can tick the quota, but actually in reality, they're not contributing to the development and moving forward of an organization. More I could say about that, but I'm not going to be focusing on that this evening. However, I will say this. If you're part of a committee like that, and you don't feel that you're making a positive contribution, but you're still there, that is not helping your well-being whatsoever. It's disruptive, it's undermining, it's demeaning, it's not helping you whatsoever. And then you may have to make a decision whether or not you stay or then you decide to leave because the environment is not helping you whatsoever. One of the things that you can do in terms of social engagement, social fitness, you know, some of these things, as I said right at the beginning, kind of really simple stuff, but really important. You can have a themed evening. I think I mentioned, was it last week or the week before, my sister and half a dozen of her friends used to go out maybe 2 or 3 times a year. They grew up together and they'd go out together as half a dozen women and they'd go to restaurants and have some fun. And then what happened, one restaurant they went to, my sister, she may not be listening to this one, but she might be listening in time to come. She's really shrewd when it comes to money. She's not a miser, she's not mean, she's incredibly generous, but she doesn't like to know she's been done. So she went through this long bill and they put in a couple of wine drinks that none of them had whatsoever. So she said, right, so they took it, they got off the bill, and she said to her friends, right, that's it. We're not going to go to a restaurant again. Look, right, is anybody up for this? So what they did, they divvied out the responsibility. Some did the chicken, some did the rice, some did the mutton, some did the dessert, some did the salad, some brought drinks, and they met at each other's home. And my sister said, Delroy, we had fun. There was nobody kicking us out. We had fun. There was food to take home. We had a fantastic time. So what you can have a themed evening where you meet together as friends. I remember 60th birthday party I went to, 3 years ago now, and it was 1980s. So everybody had to come in 1980. So you can imagine flares, afro, the kind of African American tie around the head. It was an absolute awesome party. So things like that, or a jazz evening, or stuff you want to talk about, those things are really important in terms of galvanizing people together, but also contributing to your well-being and to your health as well. So and one of the things that you can do, in fact, I didn't even know about this, after a night out with friends you've not perhaps seen for a while, you can the following day just send a text, a message, WhatsApp message, a voice note. Just say, listen, we met last night. It was awesome. Absolutely enjoyed it. That again contributes to your well-being. And I didn't know about this till I did the research. But my 4 friends who I met in Leicester, I wrote them all a letter just to say how great it was to be with them. And it was just lovely to, as we reminisced about school, and then all talking about our pensions now and all the rest of it, but not finishing with life. We have loads to do. Maybe some of you don't know, but I've got no intentions of retiring whatsoever. I think it was Alex Ferguson, the former manager of Manchester United, said that retirement is for young people. You just keep going. And I've said to folks, look, when people realised I was no longer being involved in what I was doing for so long, and they said he retired. I said, retired? You must be joking. I've spent 30 odd years mentoring, coaching, counselling, teaching, developing courses, writing, training. I said, when do you stop developing people? You just don't. All I will do as I get older, I will do less days. My goodness me, retirement? You must be joking. Anyway, let's not get onto that one. But I've got no intentions of retiring whatsoever. So I just hope and pray that I keep good health and so forth, and kind of keep going until I can. I've got 2 supervisors, a counselling supervisor. He's 78, still going, and I've got another coach who I've been seeing now for 15 years, and he's 74, 75, got some like 20 clients, still going for it. And why not? If you enjoy what you do, just keep going. Absolutely fantastic. So in terms of some of the things, the question you might want to ask is, how can I be socially fit? So we looked at developing social fitness, and then now we're looking at how can I be socially fit? So as the term socially fit, physical fitness, we don't get fit by going to the gym once, but we need to keep going consistently. So to become socially fit, you have to do something consistently, regularly, in a disciplined and careful way. So social fitness, or social wellness, sometimes it's called, it's really important. So practice self-care. I spoke earlier on this whole thing around self-care, eating properly, resting properly. In fact, self-care can be having a focus. There's somebody I know, somebody mentioned to them about being involved in a competition. So they kind of took this thing really to heart to be involved in this competition. So they know they've got to train harder, but then they said, well, if I'm going to train harder, it means I'm going to have to sleep better. I'm going to have to look at my diet. So in a sense, that one goal started then to influence other aspects of their lives. So this whole self-care is not just one thing. It then begins to permeate into other areas of your life. So practice self-care. And here's number 2. Now this is an interesting one. Know thyself. Now, some time ago, you've heard me talk often about self-reflection, developing self-awareness. This whole thing about sitting down with your thoughts and processing things is really important. But listen to this. Absolutely. It's all about the mindset. Absolutely. The mindset, how we think, is incredibly important. In fact, sometimes the biggest obstacle for us doing things is not anybody else. It's what we think. And one of the things I've learned, that sometimes we think people are thinking about us. They're not thinking about us at all. They couldn't be bothered about us. but sometimes we think what they're thinking about us, and they're not thinking about us at all. So this whole thing about know thyself. So part of knowing thyself is sitting down with your thoughts. Listen to this. People are fearful, frightened of sitting down with their own thoughts. Listen to this. There was an experiment done in America. And when people were asked about sitting down with your thoughts, 30% of women said they would prefer to have a mild electric shock than to sit with their thoughts. When the same question was asked of men, of sitting down with their thoughts, 70% said they would rather have a mild electric shock than to sit with their thoughts. We are frightened of our thoughts. We are frightened of being still. Can you imagine that? People would rather experience a mild electric shock than to sit with their thoughts. That is frightening, absolutely frightening. Part of becoming socially fit is we don't criticize, we don't judge, we don't blame. It's amazing how if we start becoming negative, the impact it has on our mind, our emotions, our physiology, our blood count, the way we breathe. It's incredible how our bodies are so interconnected. Now, you might say, Delroy, yes, absolutely nonsense. Listen, if you're angry, you can't even eat properly because you're angry, your body's all tense and you can't see anything clearly. And anybody says something to you, you snap at them when in fact, what everything they have to say is not bad, but that's where you are. It's affecting your whole being. So don't criticize, don't judge or blame. It doesn't mean to say that you don't have to address things, you do, but there are ways of dealing with things without kind of being crushing to the other person. Another thing that's really helpful is about being socially fit is own up to your part and take full responsibility. Now, we know already, it's interesting, there's a biblical story in the Old Testament that if the judge, two people were brought to the judge and the judge couldn't decide who was telling the truth, there was a drink that they'd made. And whoever was telling the truth, so they would both drink this drink, and whoever was telling the truth lived. But whoever was telling porkies died. We now know that if we're telling porkies or lying, there's an impact on our well-being. This whole thing about white lies, no such thing. I know it's a little thing, but there's an impact on us. This whole thing about being found out, we start sweating, our heartbeat, whole range of things happen to us. So this whole thing about owning up to your part, taking responsibility, be honest, be open, and hold your hand up for something that you've done. We try hardest not to lie because there's an impact on us. My father used to say to me when I was a boy, so I used to tell a lot of stories, and he said to me, Delroy, listen to my advice. If you're going to tell lies, make sure you've got a good memory. So I learned from that, you know what, don't lie, because one lie begets another lie, and then you've got to remember what you said. So I learned that from a very, very young age, and possibly that's the reason why I try my hardest to tell, if I'm talking to somebody, I tell the truth, because I don't want, not so much my dad's voice, but I know what it is. If you tell porkies, the impact it has on your body. So own up to your part and be honest. And one of the things that's really helpful in terms of becoming socially fit, rekindle old relationships. I saw somebody at the weekend and not seen them for a while, and then something happened and I wanted to contact them, and I was going to contact them on LinkedIn, and I thought, oh, I wonder if I still got his number in my phone. And sure enough, I'm not contacting him for years, and sure enough, and it was just good just to kind of send the message. So rekindle old relationships and nurture relationships with people who are respectful, positive and supportive of you. It's really important. You know, don't invest time and energy in people that are not supportive of you, people that don't respect you, people that have no time for you, people that don't adore you or admire you. Don't spend that time, but spend the time, nurture those relationships with those individuals that are respectful, positive and supportive. They're the type of things really helpful. Okay, a couple more things. It said, don't be a flake. We talk, you hear people these days talk about being flaky. You're not too sure what side they're on. There's something about being consistent. There's something about, oh my gosh, there's something about integrity, authenticity. My gosh, there's so much around that. I've done a series sometime towards the end of last year about becoming your authentic self. Absolutely important for our well-being. I don't like the term living your truth, because that sounds like you can do what you want, and I don't think it means that at all. But you live a life that's consistent with who you are as a person. So so don't be a flake. So and finally, this whole thing around cultivating social fitness. I love this metaphor. It's brilliant. Cultivating social fitness or wellness is like keeping a flower garden. It takes time, attention, energy, care, effort. And that's the same with social fitness. It's not a one-off thing. This is a lifelong endeavor. It's a lifelong process as we looking at relationships. I think somebody called Paul Scanlon talks about a friendship inventory. We just need to look sometimes of people we have in our circle of friends. Are they, is the relationship, is it mutual? Are they helping you? Are they putting you down? Is that really a relationship you need to be spending your time with, or does it mean that you kind of keep those at an arm's length? So this whole thing about social fitness is a lifelong endeavor. To develop the gardening metaphor, it is important to choose a proper plot, which it is. It is important to prepare the soil, which it is. Plant the best seeds. Provide adequate water and nutrients. And a part of doing all that is protecting the plants from bad weather and regular weeding to ensure you give the seeds or the plant the best opportunity to grow. Our relationships are just like that. There's sometimes, in all relationships, there's things, there's a misunderstanding, there's a bit of friction. But if we can sort it out quickly, immediately, the pathway is really made a lot easier. Sometimes it's really, really difficult to say to somebody, I'm sorry. But you know what? I know for me, if I know that I've offended somebody and the relationship means a lot, whether the relationship means a lot or not, there's people who I've perhaps said things to and it wasn't said properly, and I don't know them very well. And I've apologized if I've caused any offense. And I hear sometimes, I'm sorry, and then the next thing I hear is, oops, I've just got something just come up on my screen, but hopefully you can, oh, hang on, what's this? Get rid of this. Let's have a look, get rid of this. There's something just popped up on my screen from Teams and I can't get rid of it. Let's have a look. Oh, there, it's gone. Yeah, so I don't know what happened there at all because I'm not on Teams at all. So this garden metaphor is really important. This whole thing around social fitness. So as I said earlier on, it really is about it's lifelong. You have to spend time at it. It takes time, energy, and effort. Sometimes you have to be a bit discerning where you spend your time and who with. Certainly, meet friends, do stuff together. It's really important that you do stuff together, nights out, days out. I spoke about the safari lunch or the safari dinner. You obviously won't do that every week, but do that for special occasion. Or you have themed evenings, you meet each other's home, and my sister's model of meeting up in each other's home. And certainly eating out now is getting really expensive, and I just wonder whether in some cases people will open their home to maybe half a dozen friends, and you can have a fantastic evening just listening to quiet music, talking, socializing, eating food, just really chilling and have a good time. Really does a lot to our well-being and for us to live longer. So there you have it, social fitness. What I've said is not even scratching the surface. If you put in the browser, social fitness, Harvard University, loads of stuff will come up. It's not something that's maybe talked about all that much at the moment, but I think it's really important. I think I said before that one of the things when people come to see me as clients, no matter what the problem is always about relationships, either relationship with other people, with the world, or themselves. It's always about relationship, and we can't get anywhere without having good relationships. So I wish you well. Enjoy the rest of your evening. If there's my usual question person is not here this evening, but brilliant. I've had some comments. Sonia's talking about taking. Yeah, just do it. Just plan it. You know, you don't have to be organised. Just say, look. Or if there's a big park near you, now you might say, Della, look, this is cold weather. Listen, people who walk, they'll tell you there's no such thing as bad weather. It's the clothing you have on. And I think they have a point. If there's a massive park near you, get out with a few friends, go for a walk after a couple of hours or so, stop for coffee or for lunch, then walk back. It's just being with people out in nature, away from cars, away from the noise. That in itself is therapeutic, and we're doing our bodies and our minds and our physiology a favor when we do stuff like that. There you see, Jeff says he loves walking. Absolutely. Yeah, love walking. Brilliant. So listen, everybody, enjoy the rest of your evening and the rest of your week. And we'll meet again next Tuesday, the 21st of March, looking at maybe developing this a bit further, or maybe a new topic. But yeah, April next month will be 3 years since I've been doing this. My gosh, and time has zipped by so quickly. So yes, please do try to do. You can't do it all, but do one. And one of them could be meeting up with some friends, or invite them to your home, just get together, no special agenda, or not unless you want to do something like raising money for charity or whatever it might be, but just being with each other is absolutely important. And thank you all for your comments, and I'll see you next week. Wish you well. And certainly you can contact me privately via my email that you see on there if you wish to talk further. Blessings always. Take care. All the best. Bye-bye.